Cool. Mbuso, welcome to the show, my brother. I've known you for 2, 3 years now, but for the people that don't know you, I want to give them a background of who Mbuso is. I know Mbuso grew up in KZN, heading sheep and all that. So how do we go from there to then becoming the person that you are? But for now, let's focus on your childhood. Take me through memories of your childhood that made you who you are.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of moments as a child. So as you said, I grew up in KZN, Epicville. Basically Lusinko, we're heading ship and Kettle. And I went to primary school there. And I think the one thing that would shape my life, or that was set to shape my life, was the fact that I just think it's a classic South African story. When I was born, my mom was 18 years old, and I think dad was 21 at the time. And as a result, my grandparents from my paternal side had to raise me, and so ukhuliswa ugogo can shape someone in a certain way. Like along my journey, I've met brothers who were also raised by their grandmothers, and we share similar stories. I think we can delve into it like a little bit later, but yeah, I was raised by my grandparents, and raised in a very rural area near the Drakensberg Mountain, and yeah. I mean, heading sheep and cattle was a great experience, but not that pleasant.
Was it by choice or by circumstance?
So because my grandfather had livestock, right? So as boys, it was our responsibility to look after that. Obviously, when we're in school, there was someone hired to take care of that, and then when we came back from school, we needed to take care of that. So it's a responsibility. So you learn responsibility very early, and I think when you come back with all the sheep, the cattle, whatever, right? My grandfather would stand there to count if all of it is there, right? If it's not there, then we'll have to go look for it, and sometimes you couldn't come back until 12 a.m. in the 12 a.m.
in the midnight.
Yeah. Just because you're just looking for ukwaiman.
Sure.
And yeah, so and the place I grew up in, as Java, Big Zulu.
Yeah.
They're all from there. And they've done us, I think, very proud. To represent us in the national stage. But yeah, it's a very elazi being. Yeah, so there's a lot of those kind of people, and I think that, and obviously there's some principles that are good, and some principles that are bad from Ubinga. For example, one thing that troubled me as a child, for example, was there was something called uktwala. So if someone wants a wife, right, say maybe they'll go and bimtwale, forcefully take the girl to their house, and then take kettle, ilobolo to the girl's home
family,
in the morning. And there's this one girl that we did grade 7 with, because I did my schooling there in the village up until grade 8, right? So when we were in grade 8, I left, and then when she was she must have been in grade 10. She's one of the smartest people from that school. She's someone that I used to compete with for position 1 in maths and all these other things. But watwalo.
Sure.
And all that potential
gone.
But I mean, she became a wife, she's got kids, and she's happy, I suppose. So, but yeah, that's just one of the things that I didn't like. But otherwise, other principles such as, umtizwa, to stand for the truth. They foster like things like integrity, resilience and like difficult times and whatnot. And that's the part I took with me from.
Sure. So, coming back from school, having to go look for the sheep that went missing up until midnight, how does that then influence your schooling? Not necessarily the education part, because there's certain good things that you took out of it, but the traditional schooling classroom, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it didn't happen all the time.
Okay.
But like it was like a constant, and I feel for teachers that actually, taught like in the rural areas. So, and my story is classic because like I've got a brother, like a cousin of mine, who sort of went to like a white school that was like in a nearby town, but he also lived in the village, right? And they would travel to school and back like every day, and obviously like playing hockey, like soccer, rugby, things that were unheard of in the village, in the schools that we went to, and like teachers had to deal with the fact that sometimes kids wouldn't come to school because they're looking for like sheep, cattle, you know what I mean. So yeah, they had to deal with that. Like, the community was at some point. I remember. One of the funniest things that happened was, I think the government in KZN was trying to, electrify the rural areas, right? And as they were doing that, like some people were complaining that the electricity is gonna like what you call it? It's not gonna be good for the cars, like at night or whatever. Like the lights is gonna, and yeah, I don't know, that to me just because we needed electricity, right? But there were people opposing that, like thinking of their livestock and stuff.
Sure.
So it was and I really do feel for the teachers there, because like some of the kids came from like really really poor families. Like someone would come to school without shoes and whatnot, and yeah, and things like the government feeding scheme and all of that, like really helped. Yeah.
Okay. And then high school, you moved to Maritzburg.
Yeah.
And now there's different playing grounds. I would assume that back in primary, you probably did English in isiZulu, right? Your teachers and all that. Now you go to a school, I would assume predominantly Indian. Now everyone speaks proper English. You speak a certain way. Obviously, that make fun of you, maybe. The transition between the two, how does that make you feel as a person, number one? But equally, what were the important lessons that you think shaped Mbuso today?
Yeah, I think it was tough times, actually. I remember my first day there. Like we got dropped off by transport from boarding school, from the hostel, right? And went to assembly sharp, and then after that, like I had to find like my class, right?
Sure.
And like it's a big school, something that I'm not used to, you know what I mean? And now I'm just going around looking for any familiar face from the hostel, and that took an hour to just find one person I know, that was previously at this school, to sort of like help me find where grade 9E was, and he helped me find it, but this was like an hour later, right? So I arrived in the class 1 hour late, and obviously I'm not that articulate in English at the time, and the teacher was then asking me where was I, and I tried to explain that got lost, whatever. And then he checked there's something they call the blue file there, where all your essentials documents will be like filed, right? He checked that, and my report card from my previous school wasn't there, because the hostel master maybe didn't give it to the school. I don't know what happened.
Sure.
And then that guy said I couldn't be in his class because I need to go fetch my report card from my previous school.
So you had to go back.
No, he was saying, until I come with that report, I can't be in this class, right? So,
What class was this?
So, like, it was grade 9E, right?
Yeah.
It was basically...
So he's the head of the class.
No, he was the teacher in the class.
Yeah.
So I walk in late,
Okay.
and he's like, yo...
You can't be in my class until you find that.
The report card from your previous school, right? Because, I mean, that's an important... like, to my understanding, I was admitted already, like, in this school, right? So they should have had my report card. But, yeah, for some reason, in the blue file, my report card wasn't there. Then, obviously, had to walk out, walked to the fields or whatever, because now I know where my class is. But now I have to wait until, until like the end of the day to like tell the hostel master what just happened, or have him call my dad and and try to organize. And it was very lonely. I remember just walking like in the soccer fields, rugby fields or whatever, just like crying and stuff. And this one guy who was a head boy at the time at the school, found me, took me to the principal's office, and then like I had to explain what happened to the principal, explain where I'm from, whatever. He was a very funny man, a very caring man. I remember him like getting us like coffee and scones, and I chilled with him, and and he took me to the class. Like at some point, after chilling for like an hour, like getting to know me and stuff, and like trying to calm me down because I was crying. He took me to the class, and that was my first day. And even though like I was happy to be there, because I understood as a kid that the education that I was gonna get there compared to where I was coming from was going to be a little bit different. I was also looking for like sort of a new challenge, because in my previous school, I was just like easily one of the smartest kids, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But like my marks weren't that amazing. Like I wasn't like in the 90s or 80s. I was in the 70s and the top student.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you finish high school, you apply to UCT, you want to go to UCT, but you don't get in.
So I actually didn't apply to UCT. I wanted to go to UCT.
Okay.
And the issue was, because my dad was saying, the issue was the money, basically.
Funds, okay.
Right, funds. And at the time, I was a very strange kid, right? So one of my strongest beliefs was the fact that I won't enroll in university with NSFAS, because it means I'm going to have to pay it back. And I was like, I can't do that for two reasons. Number one, I've got parents, they're supposed to take care of me, even though they didn't have the money. But like as a kid, I was thinking that, and was like, number two, I'm smart, I could get a bursary, right? So when my father challenged my thing of applying to UCT, citing the funds or whatever, I then told him that no, I plan to apply for like bursaries and stuff, which I did. But yeah, it was just like against it. And I think by June in matric, I hadn't gotten a bursary yet. So just the whole thing just didn't make sense to me as well, because, there's no bursary. Then I chose to listen to my dad, apply to UKZN. And I think at some point I was able to apply for bursaries with a couple of institutions. But then because my marks for the third term weren't that great, right?
The two prelims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of rejected, right? So the final exams for me were like a big thing, because that's when I needed to perform. And my plan was, when I get to UKZN, I'll try hustle a bursary, like inside. But like even when I applied to UKZN, like on the form, they said like financial aid. I was like, no, because I was, a kid who had just decided that, no, I'm too good for NSFAS, which was, in retrospect, a very dumb thing
Cool. So you took no for NSFAS, right?
From NSFAS, yeah.
Yeah, and then
what then happened was, like I went to UKZN like in January to tell them that because you needed to like I think pay like $600 to
the
to
registration
accept
fee.
your, no, it wasn't the registration fee. It was like a fee to accept the offer they were giving you, right? So like you'll get an SMS saying that you accepted to study become accounting or whatever.
Yeah.
To secure your thingy, you then needed to pay like a $600 or whatever, and then like a month later come back and register.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. So I went to do that, right? And then got all the prospectus and all these other things or whatever, like, fee structure, how much does this cost, how much, came back, showed that to my dad. Yeah, and I remember him saying that it's going to be a challenge, but like, yeah, no, let's do it. And he was mad about, me not having ticked like financial aid, yes, because like for some reason I couldn't change that, like at that stage.
No,
yeah,
it's no.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a no is a no. So being stuck in that situation, the next day I told I think my two friends that no, we should go to like there used to be like internet cafes in Escort, right? So we go there, and we basically just googled companies that are in the industries that that we're interested in, like to study, and then we're calling them asking for bursaries and citing the fact that we had done well. And I remember calling, like I think I phoned Deloitte. Are we allowed to mention?
Yeah,
names?
no, it's fine.
Sure, I think I phoned Deloitte at some point. And,
Yeah.
that was like one promising one, and then I phoned the psycho office, spoke to a gentleman named Chandanani, and he basically asked me what my metric marks were, told him, and then he was like, okay, no, we've got like a Tutuga pilot program at the University of the Western Cape, and we can give that to you if you're willing to go there. Oh, in fact, no, the offer was UWC or Unizulu. And yeah, I chose UWC. And that's how I ended up like,
In the Western Cape.
In the Western Cape, yeah.
And how was the experience then? Because you went from Emakaya to Maritzburg.
Yeah.
Now again, you have to leave the province.
I think by that time I was like very well rounded in a way because, grew up in Makaya, understand that life. And my mom lives in Durban, so like during holidays I'd visit her. So like township life, something that I understood, and then obviously like Pietermaritzburg, like as a city, I understood the city life as well a little bit, even though you can't really compare.
Yeah, you can't compare
Pietermaritzburg to Cape Town or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was already like a very well-rounded kid, so the experience was very it was smooth sailing. From a social perspective, very smooth sailing, and then from a political perspective, I think I learned a lot there because it's a very political university. Like student politics is fun. Like that was one of the things I used to enjoy. And outside academics, I think what I enjoyed the most at UWC was the student politics, even though I wasn't directly involved. But yeah.
Okay, so let's summarize the university life. Obviously, you go through BCom accounting. You qualified as a CA.
Yeah.
So PGDA, that's what they call it at UCT. So the accounting honors and stuff.
Same thing. It's
is it?
UWC, yeah.
Okay, cool. What are the important lessons that you think you learned there compared to the important lessons you learned, like your resilience, decision making while growing up? Now compare the two decisions in them shaping the Mbuso that sits before me today.
Yeah, that's like really hard to explain.
Yeah.
But one thing I'd say is that like I knew I only had like sort of one chance.
Okay.
Like if I fail to do kicks me out, there's no other plan, bro. Like this plan had to work. And like I had that mindset and that attitude. And I think that is what got me through. And yeah, like partied hard, studied hard, but like yeah, just never forgot that this is and like being a Tutuga student was like comfortable, get your allowance,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just didn't want to lose that. But it was a very challenging course though, and some of the things I like because when I look back now, right, like because you you get into like a corporate finance class, you're being told about measures and acquisitions. Like I mean, you grew up heading sheep, you don't know what the fuck that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So concepts were like hard to grasp, like in a sense, because like you're not familiar with like the business world and whatnot. Or maybe you are familiar with business, but like maybe small scale business, like your spaza shops in your in your rural village, or yeah. So from that sense, like it was hard, but pushed through. Pushed through.
Okay. And then you graduate. Does then Tutuga place you in a firm? Or now it's another hustle of you trying to figure out where you're going to work?
So that's an interesting story. So Tutuga actually places people like in firms. And because our Tutuga at UWC was a pilot program at the time, they weren't that strict with like the placing.
Okay.
So when I was in second year, I took it upon myself to go to all the big four firms, like for interviews to try get like articles there. And I tried to do like work in all of the firms, just so I could see if like which one really resonated with me. And by the time I was in third year, I think I'd already decided that okay, EY is what I'm gonna go with. And when I was then in PGTA, right, when we had to sign those forms for the Tutuga allocation, I just wrote that I'm already allocated to EY. The Tutuga people weren't happy with that, but like, yeah, it was already done. So that's how I end up at Ernst & Young.
Okay. Interesting. And then now you went from Maritzburg, the Western Cape. Now you're going into Ernst & Young, EY, right? Do you have a mentor at this point? Because I'm trying to understand then each and everything that happened. Is it because someone guided you and paved the way for you? Or you still had that mentality that I only have one shot, therefore I need to do, and it must work?
I think like having that mentality, I always like had people that were, I'd say, my mentors, but like even though it wasn't like official that there's like a mentor-mentee relationship, like was people that maybe are walking the journey that I want to walk, and I always used to ask questions. Like, I mean, when I was in high school, the people so in Escort there's 3 high schools there, and like all the top students like in matric, 20, because I did my matric in 2011, so the guys that were 2010, like all the top 3 students from those schools tell you that I used to pester them on Facebook, like asking them, because like I mean, one went to Verts, one was at UCT, the other one was at UG. I was asking them about their experience and telling them that I wanted to become accounting, CS stream, whatever. What do they think? Like how's varsity life or whatever? And I think one of the 3, Ulindelo, actually was like very kind, and she played a mentor role for my transition from sort of high school to varsity. Like in university, there was also like Tutuga students who were senior, right? And some of them I'm actually good mates with now because all Izul sits in the so would ask them questions or whatever, and I believe that was some form of mentorship. By the time I was third year, already knew people that were doing articles at like certain firms, in banks, and just so mentorship has like really been a strong pillar in my story. Yeah.
And then relationships, right? So it's mentorship and relationships. Let's talk about the people that you surround yourself with. Maybe you were lucky enough. I think one of the guests, he was lucky enough to meet his soulmate. there, right? And they've
What's
been
in university?
together. No, apparently they met. The first time they met was in grade 11.
Grade 11.
And then grade 12, because they were from different schools.
Mm.
And then grade 12, they didn't see each other. And they rekindled again, I think around April at UCT when they saw each other. Like, oh, I remember you, right? But yeah, do you then maybe find love in varsity?
Yeah, I don't have any story like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunate for me, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I did forge a lot of great friendships. A lot of my friends that I have now, like I met in varsity, like or high school, and it's yeah, friendship is something very important to me.
Yeah.
And these are the guys that, like, push me, call me out when, I'm getting off the way. And we motivate each other, love each other, push each other, support each other. And I think the past 4 years, for example, I've gone through like some really hard times where, like, I lost my grandfather. The next year I lost my grandmother, and then the next year I lost my grandfather, then I lost my dad. And like my friends have really been supportive, like in ways you won't even be able to imagine. Yeah.
And I think I remember last year we were busy watching rugby, and the statuses were around rugby and just having fun, and we were just happy as gents. And then I heard that your father passed, right? And I saw a change in atmosphere. Like, you became a different person. You were hurting, obviously, and all that.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know if you've healed completely. I don't think you'll ever get to that point.
Yeah,
but
I think it's something that I still battle with. I think I think it's gonna take a very long time to just get over there, because it was a brutal murder. Like, he was shot 15 times, and basically the case is sort of unsolvable in a sense that, because the cops said, look, they've got someone they suspect, but the guys that did the job, like Inkabi, they were able to, like, at some point track who it was, right? And when they went to arrest the hitman, right, was 3 guys, and those guys would have helped solve the case in a way, because they were going to tell on who the mastermind was. When the cops got there, these guys started, opened fire at the cops, and the cops shot them, and the guys all died on the spot. And
the 3 guys.
Yeah, the 3 guys. So basically, the mastermind moves on scot-free, and that's a hard thing to.
Are you scared of the mastermind?
Personally, I don't exactly know who he is, and yeah, I think I'm not actually scared.
Was he not targeting
but I'm just
your family?
angry.
Yeah.
No.
Or was it your father specifically, the target?
It was specifically to him, because, like, my father was very sort of was part of SATU, chairperson of SATU, like in the escort and Ukahlamba region. So, like, very political. It was also like a very strong ANC member, and it was a fight about positions. Because I think in KZN, teachers have basically politicized positions. Like, you have to be a SATU member to get, like, a principal post or whatever. And, like, SATU has got factions. Because the mastermind apparently is also, like, a SATU member.
Oh.
And he wanted to be
the chairperson.
Yeah, something like that. And he wanted his friend to be, like, I think let's cut out some of the shit, because I can't really disclose.
No. How do you then live post that? And I'm asking this one selfishly for a child who also was looking up to his father, and then let's say they're a bit younger than you, they lose the father. Obviously, the pain might be different, the experience might be different, but how does that Mbuso wake up every day and try face the world?
No, it's a hard thing because so my father I have like 8 sisters, and I think none of us have healed really, and like I have to be there for them, and in as much as I'm there for them, they are there for me as well. So just about taking it one day at a time, just hoping that one day, when I think of my father, I wouldn't think of like the pain he felt when he got shot 15 times, but I think of the man he was to the community, to like the schools, because he helped a lot of people as a very selfless person, like a very like community, family orientated man, and I hope to basically just think about like only those positive things when I think about him one day, because right now, yeah, as I mentioned before, like I lost a sister to COVID in 2020. 2021, I lost my grandmother. 2022, I lost my grandfather. Right, and 2023 was
Your father.
my dad. Right, so, and then like how this then relates to maybe my relationship ending is that, like, yeah, just like felt like I'm losing. I had to be comfortable with the fact that, like, in life you lose things, right? I think all these things, yeah, all these things have taught me to like be able to exist, while knowing that, or while going through like a loss, or while knowing that some of the things that you have you're gonna lose, and like that's really, it's like a very tough thing for me because I've got a winner mentality, and that's, yeah. But I think
That's
obviously,
actually where I wanted to go, right? You've always had this winner mentality.
yeah,
And then now for 4 years straight, you're losing and losing and losing and losing.
yeah,
And then you still need to move on with life.
yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out where you are. Now, where do you get the drive? Because I think other people would have given up, maybe
Yeah,
taken
I
their
mean,
lives.
yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's really tough, but like with the support of my friends, support of my sisters, and my brothers, like I'm able to sort of like move forward, like take things one day at a time. But like it's really tough. But I think this season of my life is preparing me for something greater. Like I have that low belief
Yeah.
that it's gonna make me stronger.
No, definitely. Yeah.
It's gonna make me stronger. So, but it's because like life has to go on. Like but also I'm lucky in a sense that like through all these losses, right? There's been some wins in my life as well. Like I think I've been doing relatively well in my career. I've got great colleagues that are also like supportive. That supported me through these things as well. Yeah, there's been some wins like during that time, and I thoroughly celebrated those wins as much as I could. So yeah, but all in all is tough. But like I don't think life is meant to be just smooth sailing, I guess. I don't know, but yeah.
And now you're a real estate analyst.
Yeah. So I'm a credit analyst in investment banking.
Okay.
Focusing in
In
real estate. Yeah.
Why real estate?
So I guess like it's something that fascinates me because like it's tangible.
Okay.
It's like tangible. Like when you drive around, you see all these malls, all these complexes, all these industrial houses, and we're in the business basically of funding people that build those things, and like it's very tangible. Its economic impacts is something that one can see, and I think one of the things that drive me is like impacts, positive impact to to society or people around me, you know. Yeah.
So this question, maybe I'm asking it for Mbuso Emakaya, 15 years old, trying to figure out what to do. You went through the CA route, you went to EY, and then you transitioned back into investment banking. If he's struggling with, what am I going to do with my life? Did you always know that you wanted to be a CA? Or maybe did you know that you're going to end up in real estate? How did you stumble across real estate? Yeah.
So I've always known that I wanted to be like in business.
In business.
Yeah, in business and corporate.
Yeah.
Like in a sense, because like I'm fascinated by business. I think largely because like my grandfather used to have like used to sell chickens.
Ah, okay.
Right. So and like loads and loads of chickens. And actually, I remember thinking to myself, because he trusted me a lot with like the bookkeeping and stuff. But the bookkeeping there was just like, every time an order comes through for like 50 chickens, you just like, right, minus
chickens.
50,
Yeah.
sold, whatever.
Yeah.
Right, when we, you know, get the stock in, like 1,000 chickens in or whatever. And like I had this thought that, because at the time, like at school, they were teaching us what CPJ, CRJ.
Yeah.
And like I just wondered how
where
I
do
could
you
apply
apply?
that to Mkulu's business. And like at some point I was like, oh, okay, actually you can apply it. But I also wondered, why is it useful?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was like, I find this book that where we write, okay, stock in, stock out, whatever. If like a chicken's dead, like 5 chickens dead, whatever, and then we're able to reconcile, and like able to reconcile the stock with the cash and everything. Like, I found that system more useful than like a CPJ and a SRJ. But at the time, I didn't know that the purpose of those things is like it will flow through like to like general ledger, to ultimately the financial statements to report to like shareholders and stuff like that. So that I was like very inquisitive about that as well, and I think maybe that's what like made me want to understand accounting. But like I've always known that I want to be in business, and I had to basically maybe choose a course that's respected in business, right? To make things easier for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've had these lows over the past 4 years. Do you recall one moment where you think, you know what, this one I was at my highest, where you were just happy and everything was glamour?
Yeah. I think I take happiness from like a lot of small things. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to think like of a specific moment where I'd say it's okay. No, I was like I appreciate everything, like everything that's positive that happens. And those that know me would tell you that like I celebrate like every single low win, because I know that, you know, losses come harder too.
Why is celebration important to you?
Because like it's like recognition of like efforts, you know what I mean? In as much as, you know, recognition of your efforts from other parties is important, it's important also to like recognize your own efforts.
Okay. You've always known that you wanted to end up in business.
Yeah.
And I think that stems mainly from you looking at your grandfather being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you think you want to be an entrepreneur, or you think you just want to focus on corporate?
Well, I've got I do have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think for now, I just see myself going like far in corporate, because like, I mean, there's already set up structures. Because the way I understand myself is that what drives me is sort of like the desire to be impactful to society, right? So if I'm gonna go start a business, yeah, sure, that's gonna have a lot of impact, but like it's gonna take time, right? Why not be part of a structure that already exists? So like achieve and express that passion of having an impact. So yeah, I'd say corporate.
Okay. And then maybe looking ahead, what are your current goals and what can we expect from you over the next 2-3 years?
Yeah, that's like deep and personal. But I've got lots of goals.
Okay.
I don't think I'm comfortable
Sharing.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I've got lots of goals, and a lot of them just involve being impactful.
In the corporate space
the
or
environment.
even individually?
Even like at work, just like
Yeah.
thinking of like things that would make my jobs better or my colleagues' jobs, things that would make the organization I work for better. Just like being, I'm a firm believer in not just doing what you're required to do, but just going above and beyond and shaping the environment that you're in, and not like, because you get people that like complain that the work environment is toxic, but like who's supposed to shape it if you're not supposed to? If you don't shape it, you can't just sit and complain. So
Okay, you have to do something about it.
like you have to make it be an environment that you are proud to belong to, because I think like people join organizations mostly because they resonate with like the organizational values and stuff, and once you've joined, you should help shape those visions, and like because I work in an environment where if you come up with ideas, if it's great ideas, people are supportive, and that's very liberating as a sort of like mid senior junior person, right? Because like you come up with an idea, they're like, no, run with it, like let's do it, and it's basically a job where I get to express my passions half the time at least.
And then what about back at home? Do you think you want to go back home and do something there for the kids? Or maybe to share some light onto how you got to where you were?
Yeah, so we've always, we used to run like a project where we would help kids like apply for university and stuff like that. Right, but that died down because, life gets busy.
Yeah.
And but I'd like to go back. And one of the ideas I have is, because like I think gun violence is very prevalent in KZN, and my dad, died because of gun violence. And I basically want to create a foundation to sort of like, fight against that, like which will be centered around sort of sports, because my dad really was like a man of sport. Like he loved sports, he loved soccer, he loved running. So like I'm still conceptualizing the whole thing, but like the foundation is going to be named after him, obviously, and like it's either going to be like a big tournament or whatever, but like just strongly focus on the message to say that down with guns, and like just helping kids be preoccupied with like positive things other than like just gang violence and ubi and gabi and all of that. So I think that's one thing I'm thinking. Well, that's one thing I'm definitely going to do actually. And there's other things, like I've got lots of land in Bergville that I want to farm at some point. So yeah.
Get married, hopefully.
Of course. Of course.
Okay.
And it might be more than one wife, but yeah.
Wait, what? Let's talk about that a little bit. Because I think the previous guest was talking about how the father had different wives. And actually, it seems like, I don't want to generalize and say in the black communities, but people from Emakaya, they end up having more than one wife. Why would you want to have...
No, but it's not like everyone from Emakaya, but it's...
I've never heard that in the cities.
In the cities.
Unless you're cheating.
Well, I'm going to be... Yeah, and so when it's 10%, I'm going to be the first one. Yes. You'll know of to have... but it's really just about
Is it something that was prevalent in Guinea, you grew up seeing, or?
I think my father wasn't a polygamist, even though he had lots of kids with lots of different women. Love all my mothers. And my grandfather also didn't have his temple, but his father, my cousin, he did have.
So is it like a tribute to him?
And also like how do I explain this? Okay, some parts need to be cut out, but anyway, so yeah, I'm basically the leader of the family now.
Yeah,
like was my grandfather, was my dad, and now it's me. And one of my responsibilities is to grow the family. I'm not saying like I'm definitely gonna be in a polygamous marriage, but that door is not like closed.
Okay. You know, it's interesting I asked that because for me, right, I'm from a royal family. And
so my family is royal as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
And for me, it's that thing that everyone that was a chief was polygamous. But I think that's where I draw the line. Because now I'm next. But I'm not about that life.
You're not about that life.
Yeah, so it was interesting to hear you actually speak out loud.
I think it's a great concept. I think our forefathers were not they're very smart people. I think it's an institution that works. But many believe that it doesn't work. But I think it really works if managed well.
You and I are going to talk about this more offline. It's quite interesting, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at your life, and this might be the last question, do you regret anything? Is there anything looking back that you wish you had that you never had? Or do you just appreciate everything because it shaped who you are today? I hear you, and we're going to talk offline about the polygamous situation. But I'm interested to know, right, given how you grew up, and to give a bit of context, I grew up without both my mother and father present. They were alive, they still are, but they're just not present in my life, right? And that's one of the things that maybe not regret, but I feel as though I needed that in my life.
Yeah.
But also looking in hindsight, maybe I'm grateful they were not there because now they shaped the kind of person that I am. Is there anything that you regret, you wish you had, or you wish you could take out of your life from the childhood in shaping Mbuso, or are you just glad? And
I mean, obviously there's lots of things that we always wish as human beings, right? We want the best for ourselves, and sometimes some situations that we just put on earth without like deciding to be in those situations, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. Sure. Like the fact that, I was raised by my grandmother. I mean, love her to death, right? But sometimes I wonder how it would have turned out if like I was raised by my mom and dad, like, in like one home and stuff like that. But
is your mother still alive?
Yeah, she is.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does she do
now? She works at the High Court in KZN, Devon.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just like I've made like a lot of mistakes in my life along the way. There's a lot of things I regret, but like I tend to try and like forgive myself, and I think things like therapy help with that, like just dealing with, being mad at yourself for having done like this or that, right? And basically just like being kind to yourself and forgiving yourself for your mistakes, because some of those mistakes shaped who I am today, right? So yeah.
Okay. So we have a very interesting tradition on this podcast where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest.
Oh, hectic.
Right?
Okay.
So the question that was left for you was, or rather is, What is the one thing that you want to be remembered for, and why?
That is such a generic question because it's from like one of the podcasts actually.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do I want to be remembered for? It's a hard thing to answer, but like one thing I want people to really remember me for is how great I made them feel. Yeah.
Okay, maybe let me switch it up. Instead of it being generic, do you think you found your purpose? What do you think your purpose is?
Yeah, not quite, but like as I said, like impacting society, a positive contribution to society is what drives me. Is that my purpose? I don't know. I think about that every day. Like what my purpose is, like, you know. But yeah, but I just like to make everyone around me feel respected, loved, seen, and that's all I'm about really. And yeah, and if they return the favor, it really makes me feel great. So that's who I am.
So you said you grew up, obviously the biggest things in your township, it's gun violence, right? You want to hopefully one day start a foundation to fight that or combat that in a way. But let's say before you start that foundation, you grew up in those situations. What are the steps right now that you think someone who grows up in your township can take in order for them to get out of that situation safe?
Yeah, so I think what we need to focus on is really building our communities, right? And the fact that opportunities are outside of like a village like Bergville, right, is like a problem because there should be a university closer to Bergville. Like all these things, like someone shouldn't have to like go all the way to the Western Cape to like study, right? You know, access, right? But the thing is, right now, you know, it is what it is, right? You're faced with the situation, and I think if like you are born poor or like from a disadvantaged background, I think all you need to basically have in mind, whatever you do, you must know that success will come because of two things: hard work and luck.
Okay.
And the one you're not really in control of, right? Like luck.
Yeah.
You're not you're not in control of that. But the hard work, you are in control of. And yeah.
So what about, let's say, the kid that doesn't have maybe the mental powers that you had? Because you said you were always maybe the number one, the 70 student. What about that one child who doesn't even see 1 + 1, how it makes up 2? And they're always getting their 25%, 30%. What advice would you give them? Because I don't believe that success is only in the classroom, right? You can be successful in other things.
I believe success is in learning.
Yeah.
Right. And
how do you then define learning maybe?
So learning can be like in any form, right? There's like formal learning, such as like school, like it's structured, organized. There's like learning that maybe you do on your own, like where you watch like other programs on TV, podcasts, read history books or whatever, and you know apply your mind to those things, and like you get to learn. So I think it's just all about thirst to learn, right? Wait, what was the question again? Actually,
okay, maybe no, I see where you're going. So now, rather than that, I want to know: did you have access to the learning aspects that you are referring to that are outside the classroom?
Outside the class,
like your podcasts.
So like there was a TV at home, but besides that, right, there's other things that I learned from like heading sheep and cattle, right, like responsibility, for example, right, and also like how to look after those animals. That's a valuable thing that one can learn, right? It's not like, yeah, it's not corporate finance or like investment banking or whatever, but it's an important thing. It contributes positively to society. We need meat, right? So we need people that are going to be able to look after animals. So there's always something to learn.
Take out maybe the city life and the Sandton and the fleshy life. Look back now, practically speaking, at your township, what are the things that you think people can do there in order for them not to become stale and end up being...
So in my village, I think there's a lot of land. As I said, my family even has a lot of land as well. I think people can farm. I think people are farming. The mayor there is like very active and like, coming up with like programs to help people farm to sell to your retailers and stuff like that. So it's like one of the things that I'm really impressed by. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think like farming is the main thing because, I mean, the land is there, right? The rainfall is there, the rivers are there. So farm. The only problem that maybe we have is because when I grew up, like each and every household had livestock, but now it's fewer households that do have because there's people that still, right, very cancerous to the community. So and I think they like law enforcement needs to play their role in combating that.
Do you think you guys have enough mentorship in the townships? Did you know what a CA was when you were in grade 7?
My principal used to mention chartered accountants.
Okay.
Even though I didn't really know what a chartered accountant does, but like it's something that was mentioned, and I think like my grandfather, for example, was one of my biggest how can I say mentors, right? Because he used to tell me that, okay, you need to like focus on school.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even have a matric. But he was like, okay, no, you want to do CA? No, that's great. This is how it was a very knowledgeable man. You know what I mean? So, like, if you really look, you will find a mentor wherever you are, I think. Because at the end of the day, you can't say that, okay, I'm born here and there's no CAs in this. I don't know any CA from Bergville. Maybe there are many now, right? But, yeah. But back then, there wasn't any, right? But... my uncle used to encourage me that, okay, no, this is a good career path. My grandfather used to, know a lot about like the CA thing and like what it can, or what fruits one can, get from it and stuff like that. So yeah, I think you just find mentorship wherever you are, even from the people that. Because, like, my grandmother would listen to the radio and they'd be saying there that, yeah, there's, like, only 30 black CAs in the country. This would have been, like, 2001 or whatever year it was. And, like, she'll sit me down and ask me that, I think this is a great opportunity. Do you think you can do it? You know what I mean? Right? So that's some form of, like, mentorship and, like, shaping, like, a brain of a kid.
Do you think families in your township, then your family had a positive impact on you?
Yeah.
Do you think most families are like that, or they're still very traditional and old school? They haven't really thought beyond the township.
So my family was very traditional as well, right? But obviously had these values that I've just mentioned. Yeah. I can't sit here and speak for other
others,
families, but like looking at the people I grew up with and like maybe the path they chose for themselves, like in life, maybe the families are not the same, but at the end of the day, like in a village, like each kid is parented by the village. So my grandfather wouldn't tell only me that school is important. He will tell other kids in the area too, because he saw those kids as so they had access to him. Sure, I had more access. They had access to him as well. I had access to their grandfathers, their fathers as well. And some of them used to highlight the importance of, like, they really respect education. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe leaning towards outside your own family as well, just to look for examples. That's actually good. I think even now, people that are in corporate, sometimes if you want to make it in corporate, you can gather examples from different managers, even in different divisions.
Yeah.
So maybe people now need to learn how to seek for those skills that they need, and then maybe just start making relationships
and just like connect with people.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I believe my career to be like an expression of my my passions.
Sure.
So and I think that sorry, I'm forgetting this thought now, but like yeah, and I just think that like people need to take charge and be part of the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, shape the environment however you want it to be shaped. Because like people that you are there with collectively, you guys are there because you're like-minded. Like in a sense, right? Issues where you're not like-minded, you can like win each other over by like respectful debates or whatever. So yeah, inspiration is everywhere. You just need to go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe to close off, what is the one thing that an 18-year-old Mbuso would look at right now as you're sitting here and say, I'm proud of this in my life?
I'm actually proud of the community I've built for myself.
Okay.
Like my friends, and their friends. We've got like a little community that really is there for each other. Like I'm really proud of that, and I think, like in a lot of the cases, even some will disagree with me, but I'm very instrumental in bringing people together.
You really are.
Yeah,
I remember it last year. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very proud of that.
All right.
Yeah.
No, Mbuso, thank you so much for your time. I think I love the story, and I love the fact that you're different from the other people that we interviewed, in such that you see yourself booming in the corporate world, and you were one of the lucky few that got a corporate where they support ideas, they support the kind of person that you are. The fact that you look different and you speak different doesn't really matter that much, right? Some people were unfortunate, and that's why some people ended up in entrepreneurship. Some people end up hating corporate. But I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you again in the next 5 to 10 years, and we have a different chat.
I'll be a bank CEO by then.
Then CEO.
Yeah.
I love it. I
I'm
love to see
joking.
that.
CEO by 50.
Sweet, buddy.